Okay, yesterday we talked about slope, and today we're going to apply slope to parallel lines. So go to a new page in your notebook and title the page Parallel Lines. Okay, the first thing we need to know about parallel lines is that parallel lines don't ever touch. So for example, if I have a line that looks like this, a line parallel to it probably looks like this. These two lines, if they continued forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, would never touch each other. These two lines are not parallel because eventually, if they kept going, they would run into each other. So that's what we know about parallel lines. Now, in order for two lines to be parallel, that means that they have the same distance continuously between them. So these lines are parallel because if I counted the distance from this spot to this spot, it would be the same as the distance from here to here. Okay? Two non-parallel lines, the distances wouldn't be the same. So also you can say they never intersect. And the most important thing is you need to know that two parallel lines have the same slope. So it was important that we talked about slope yesterday so that today you can apply that to finding the slope for parallel lines. So just as a refresher, example number 1, I want you to find the slope of the line that passes through the points. So find the slope of the line through -17, -5, and 15, -3. Okay, so remember, in order to find the slope, the first thing that you need to do is build your fraction. So I know that m equals a fraction, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So first I'm going to build the fraction and put the minus signs in place, and then I'm going to fill in my numbers. This first point I'm going to call x1, y1. The second point I'm going to call x2, y2. So if I look, the very first spot I have is reserved for y2, so I'm going to put -3. The second spot that I have is reserved for y1, so I'm going to put -5. Okay, on the bottom, the first point, or the first blank, is x2, and my x2 is 15. And then my last blank is x1, and x1 is -17. Okay, so now if I simplify those, the first thing I notice is that if I have a minus and negative touching, they become a plus sign. Plus sign. So I have -3 plus 5 is 2. 15 plus 17 is 32. If I simplify that, I get 1/16. Okay? Next. Oh, yeah, that's correct. Okay. Okay, so now I need to apply that to parallel lines. But before we do that, let's remember also how to find the slope from an equation. So if I tell you to find the slope from the equation, so of 3x minus 2y equals 7. Oops. Oh, 8 equals 8. Okay, if I want to find the slope from the equation, I have to solve the equation for y. So my job is to get the y by itself. So I'm going to draw a line down my equal sign. I'm going to move the 3x's first. So minus 3x's. So this is gone. I have -2y equals, remember those are not like terms, so we're going to keep them as -3x plus 8. Then divide everything by -2. Okay, so I have y equals Negative 3 over negative 2 simplifies to a positive 3 over 2x. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. But the question only asked you for the slope. The slope of this equation is just this number in front of x. So we could say that the slope, or m, is equal to 3/2. Okay, so now we're going to talk about parallel lines. So our next example says, what is the slope of a line parallel to the line whose equation is 5x plus y equals negative 9. Okay, so I want the slope of the line that's parallel to it. Well, I know that parallel lines have the same slope. So if I can find the slope of this line, then I will know what I'm looking at. So to get y by itself, I'm going to minus 5x from both sides. So I have y equals negative 5x's and a negative 9. Okay, but I just want to know the slope of the parallel line. So the slope of this line is negative 5, and the slope of a parallel line will be the same. So my answer is negative 5. Okay, next example. Oops. Number 4. Which equation represents a line which is parallel to the line x minus 2y equals negative 6. Okay, we have some answer choices. A, negative 1/2 x. Oh, sorry, y equals negative 1/2 x plus 7. B, y equals 2x plus 3. C, y equals negative 2x plus 6. And D, y equals 1/2 x plus 1. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause the video. Well, we're about to be asked a question. I want you to see if you can answer this on your own, and then when it starts over again, I'll do it with you. Okay, so I need to take x minus 2y equals negative 6, and I need to solve it for y so I know the slope. So we're going to minus 1x, because really there's a 1 here. So I have negative 2y equals negative 1x minus 6. Divide by negative 2. Y equals negative 1 divided by negative 2 is a positive 1/2 x. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is a positive 3. So that's, that's my original line. Now I want a line that's parallel to that. And the only thing we know about parallel lines, so this line is not going to be an answer choice because I want a different line that's parallel. Parallel lines, we've talked about, have the same slope. The slope is 1/2. The slope of A is negative 1/2. The slope of B is 2. The slope of C is negative 2. The slope of D is 1/2. So your answer to this question is D, because that's the only equation that has the same slope. The y-intercept is different, and that's okay, because that just means that they're not exactly the same line. I don't want them to be the same line. I just want them to have the same slope. Okay, example 4. Which equation represents a line which is parallel to the y-axis? And again, we have some answer choices. A, y equals x plus 3. B, x equals negative 2. C, y equals 2x minus 3. And D, y equals negative 2. Okay, so parallel to the y-axis, I'm going to draw a picture so that I can see what we're really talking about. If I know I have a coordinate grid, I know that the horizontal axis is always x and the vertical axis is always y. So I'm looking for a line that would cross here. That line is parallel to the y-axis, it will never touch. This line is parallel to the y-axis, it will never touch. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a vertical line because that will be parallel to the y-axis. The only way we get a vertical line is with a very specific slope. So let's talk about the slope for a second. The slope of this first one is 1. The slope of answer choice C is 2. Answer choice B has no slope, and answer choice D has 0 slope, so m equals 0. If I were to take answer choice A and put it on the graph, it's going to start at 3, and it's going to go up 1 and right 1 and up 1 and right 1. It's going to be a line that kind of looks like this. That is not parallel to the y-axis. Okay, if I were going to graph C, it's going to start at negative 3, move up 2 and right 1, up 2 and right 1, up 2 and right 1. This line is also not parallel to the y-axis. Now B and D are kind of odd. If you look at B and D, you notice that B has only an x and D has only a y. If you have an equation that only has one letter, that means that the line you draw will only touch that axis. So when I was drawing possible parallel lines, the only axis these lines touch is the x-axis. So I know that B, x equals, is the only way that I get a vertical line. So what I need you to write down now is we need to kind of take a note about vertical lines. So vertical lines on the graph have no slope. They're written as x equals, and they only touch the x-axis. Okay? Okay, next example. Which equation represents a line which is parallel to the line y equals 5 over 7x minus 3. Here answer choices: A, 5y minus 7x equals 5. B, 5x minus 7y equals 42. C, 5x plus 7y equals 56. And D, 7x plus 5y equals negative 40. Okay, you're going to try this one on your own. What you need to do is you need to solve each answer choice, get it to y equals, and see which one gives you a slope the same as 5/7. So after you did all of that work, you should have figured out that the answer is B. So when B is worked out, 5x minus 7y equals 42. You minus the 5x. Negative 7y equals negative 5x plus 42. Divide by negative 7. We get y equals, negative over negative is positive, 5/7 minus 42 over 7. And it doesn't simplify. So our slope is 5/7. And that's all we needed. Okay, last example. last example. How to find a line that passes through a given point. So we are going to write the equation of a line parallel to y equals 2x plus 3 that passes through the point 3, 1. Okay, so I'm going to build a new line, and that new line is going to be parallel to this line, okay? Now, if I have two lines that are parallel, the only thing I care about is its slope, so I know that m equals 2. And I can ignore the rest of this equation. I just need to know m equals 2. So my new line is going to have a slope of 2. So if I write the equation of the new line, I know I'm looking for y equals mx plus b. And I know that m, the slope, is 2. So I know y equals 2x plus b. But what I don't know is b. So I need to find b. And in order to find b, we're going to use this xy point that we were given in our equation, or in our question, and we're going to plug those in to their appropriate places. So y is the number 1, so I really have 1 equals 2. X is the number 3 plus b. So 1 equals 2 times 3 is 6 plus b minus 6. Negative 5 equals b, because we just solved for b. So now I know that b equals negative 5, and I know that m equals 2. So my equation is y equals 2x minus 5. So I used the slope and the point given to find the equation of the line.